Right guys, very important before we get started, always remember to unload the gun, make sure that it's clear, and follow all safety guidelines before you start any of these projects and before you carry on with the video. Alright, welcome back to my channel guys. Today we're going to be stripping down and cleaning a CZ Shadow 2. First and foremost, let's make sure the gun is empty and clear, safe to handle. Okay, first and foremost, we're going to want to line up the slide with the chassis. There's two cutout lines that we're going to line up in order to get the slide stop out and slide the slide off of the chassis. So we'll do that quickly. Okay, once we've got the two separated, just going to take the grips off of the chassis of the Shadow 2. I like to ensure that all of my springs and everything is still okay. There's no rust buildup or anything like that that's happening. Right, so now that we've got the grips off, we can quickly just oil the hammer spring. We'll wipe all of that off just now, but I like to ensure that everything is well lubricated. This gun works extremely hard. It's a competition gun, so just ensuring that everything is well lubricated and clean definitely helps. Okay, we'll set that aside while that just soaks for a little bit, and then we can get going on the slide. Right, so first thing we're going to want to do to the slide is obviously take out our recoil spring. It's a competition spring and guard that's in here. And we take the barrel out, you can see it's extremely dirty. And we have our slide. So before I get going with cleaning the slide, I'm just going to spray the barrel so that it can just sit and soak while we're busy with everything else. You can see this gun, obviously I shot a competition with it, it's extremely dirty. And we'll set that to the side. I just like to spray so that I can clean off the guard rods, the buffer and the spring. We'll wipe all of those off just now. Okay, then the slide. So we've removed the barrel and the guard with the springs. Next thing I'm going to do is remove the firing pin. So in the back you can see where the hammer strikes the firing pin. I'm just going to move that slightly and pull out the plate. Turn it around, the firing pin and spring will come straight out. I like to just spray everything so that it can obviously coat, eat away anything that's there, and it just sits for a little bit with the oil on it. Obviously we don't leave the oil on the firing pin or inside the firing pin housing, but having a coating is a really good idea given how hard these race guns or competition guns work. Right, so while we wait for the oil to just settle and get ready with our tools and cleaning equipment, let's jump to a video of me shooting it. So if anyone that's looking at getting a Shadow 2 or has one that's going to start comp shooting with it, this one's obviously been upgraded. The springs, the spring guard, the extended firing pin spring, the competition spring for the firing pin. The hammer and trigger are both done on this gun. You'll see it's got a slightly flatter wall on it, and it's extremely responsive, so without much force needed to pull the trigger. It does conform to IPSC full pull, and it is perfectly legal for IPSC. So first off, I'm just going to take the firing pin and just brush it, that there's no filings on it or anything. You'll find sometimes with extended firing pins it strikes the primer hard enough to release a little bit of brass shavings into the tube, so I'll just make sure it's clean. And it's also a good opportunity to be able to inspect that all of your parts are okay. This firing pin is still fine. Just clean the plate. And my guard. Buffer on this is still okay. We've got the firing pin and the guard cleaned. We can move on to the slide. Obviously it's been sitting a little while and it's managed to settle with the oil that's on it. So I just like to give it a quick brush, make sure there's no build up anywhere. If you are looking at shooting a Shadow 2 in comps, a good idea to have spare slide stops, although they don't go often. You don't want to be in the middle of a competition and one does go, so good to just have one in your bag. They're not very expensive. Oh, and then we can just get inside. Ensure that the extractor is clean. You'll find with competition guns they build up a fair amount of dirt and carbon and all kinds of things by the extractor, and you'll have failures to extract. So I'll just focus on that. It's right on the inside here. That's the extractor. Try and get into all of the little creases and ensure that we can get as much of the dirt out as possible. Brushed off and cleaned what we wanted to, so just take a cloth and just clean off all of the excess oil. As the gun's going into storage after this until the next competition, I will leave a fine coating of oil on the gun, just so that there is no surface rust that happens while it's waiting. Yeah, if you're interested in finding out more about the CZ Shadow 2 in sport shooting, refer to my previous video that I did. We have an in-depth look at the gun, some videos of it shooting, competitions that I've taken part in with the gun. If that's something you're looking at doing or getting into, that video explains all you really need to know about the CZ Shadow 2. Right, so I'm quite confident we've cleaned off everything that we can on the slide. So I'll set that aside and move on to the barrel. So we sprayed this earlier, it's been just soaking a bit. Just take off some of the excess oil. Again, I will brush just to loosen up anything that's built up on it. Just ensure that your feed ramp is clean. Yeah, having a clean feed ramp definitely helps to eliminate any unnecessary stoppages or failures to load, especially in the comps when you start to pick up a bit of dust on the range and those sort of things. So we'll ensure that that's clean and polished. Okay, and then lastly, just making sure that all these grooves and the lug and the lock are clean. Okay, and then lastly, with the barrel, I use a barrel snake, so I'll just use that quickly to pull through. Right, so just before we put the barrel back in and put the slide back together, just one more wipe down just to make sure we get off the excess oil, obviously leaving a fine coating. Okay, and then we can put the slide back together. So first off, we'll put the extended firing pin back into its block. And it will lock into place like so. Then we can put the barrel back in. Then the spring and guard. And that's the slide put back together. So I'll set the slide aside for now, and we can clean the chassis. So again, we sprayed this earlier, so there's a fair amount of oil on it. We're just going to give it a brush. Just make sure that everything is as clean as possible, lubricated, and ready to go back into the safe. As the CZ Shadow 2 slide obviously runs inside the chassis, so it's good to just make sure there's no dirt or buildup on the inside of that housing and the lines. Give it all a good wipe down, clean, oil. I just like to just go through the hand grip where the mag fits in, because obviously it picks up a bit of sand and dirt while you're shooting. Right, so we'll just wipe down the chassis quick. Next step is to put the grips back on. So I've got them here. Everything lines up quite easily with them. Right, so lastly, just before we put the slide back on, I just want to put some oil into the slides just to give it some extra lubrication. Right, so we're just going to take the chassis and the slide and slide it back on. Again, we will line up the two lines on the chassis and the slide in order to get the slide stop back in. So we'll line them up and the slide stop goes straight back in. Right, final wipe off just to take off any of the excess oil. And she is clean and ready to go back into the safe. Thanks for watching, guys. If you've enjoyed this video, obviously give it a like, follow the channel for more of these videos. We'll be doing loads and loads and loads of different guns and how to take them apart, clean them, storage, and eventually we'll get down to the range and shoot some of them. But like, comment, subscribe if there's anything you need to see in more detail. And yeah, thanks.